This spring, you are invited to experience an extraordinary motion picture about love, bravery, honor, and the triumph of the human spirit.
However, you stink. He was offensive. That is the first naked lady in the history of radio.
I really think you need counseling.
Try to be, I don't know, warmer. Here we go. Oh,
what the hell, you're an idiot.
You're pathetic.
I'm not pathetic.
He was disgusting.
I refuse to work with this man 1 minute longer.
Give me a kiss.
You want me to go on?
Paramount Pictures and Rysher Entertainment present The Story of a Dreamer.
You're a moron. Shut up and sit still.
Who became the king of all media.
We are gathered here today in praise of me.
And the price America's been paying ever since.
What you're about to hear is going to shock you because it's vulgar and obscene.
Can I take your top off?
No.
Oh, yes.
Howard Stern, is that what you call talented?
Behold.
Your husband's quite a character.
Just an act.
I'm going to have sex with you right now over the radio.
You gotta be kidding, right?
I thought you were going to control this guy.
You're not getting the phone from me, you I want to beat these guys. The only way to do that is to stay on the air.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Howard Stern, Private Parts.
You are the Antichrist!
And this is the hell that's my life.
An Ivan Reitman production of a Betty Thomas film. Coming this spring to theaters everywhere.
Man, I love this movie. I love this movie so much. This is a friggin' hilarious movie. Howard Stern, of course, this is based off of his best-selling novel, not even novel, an autobiography, Private Parts, of the same name. And actually, it was interesting the way that this movie originally was in development, because it actually started off as a film that was going to be about Stern's superhero character, Fartman, who actually shows up in the beginning of this movie. But they eventually decided to change it around, and so Private Parts essentially became what it has become now, and really, it's a really damn good movie. It's made by the same director and the same producer, of course, Ivan Reitman, who did The Late Shift, and Betty Thomas had done The Late Shift as well as the Brady Bunch movie, and really, the movie's just hilarious, man. I mean, this is a film that really is just so friggin' brilliant. It's so hilariously funny. It's both ridiculously funny and also kind of heartfelt funny, too. There's actually moments in here where, I mean, Howard Stern overall in this movie is really good. Like, he shows he's got range as an actor. Like, he could be himself, but he's also not afraid to be more of what we see him on radio or hear him on the radio. But he's a really good actor in this movie. He really gives it his all in here, and the movie is just hilarious. There's just so many funny moments in this entire film. This is a guy that can play not only his older self, but he can also play a younger version of himself, and it can be so ridiculous, but at the same time, you buy into it because it is so well done. It's hilarious. It's really clever. I like how he brings in everybody that from his show into this movie, and they're all doing a very good job here. You have Robin Quivers, of course. You have Fred Norris. You have Gary Delabate, Jackie Martling. You also have stuttering John Melendez in the end of the film. It's got a real good cast of characters too, played by really good actors. Mary McCormick plays his wife in the movie, and I really like their chemistry in this movie. I did like that they did kind of. There's a part of the movie where you think it's going to go to the typical, third act breakup. They have to go their separate ways, but it only happens about halfway through. It doesn't even happen until a little more than halfway through the film, and even then, it's not that long at all. It's literally about maybe 10, 15 minutes, and it doesn't really affect the movie. It doesn't slow the movie down as most of those scenes usually do. It does actually kind of work very well here. You also have Allison Janney in here and Michael Murphy, Paul Giamatti in this movie. Oh boy! If Howard Stern isn't the best thing about this movie, then Paul Giamatti is as Kenny Pig Vomit Rushton. I mean, just one of the best comedic performances ever. I mean, I cannot watch this movie and not watch him calling Howard Stern the MF and Antichrist multiple times. I mean, how can you not laugh your ass off when you hear him go like this?
You are the motherfucking Antichrist!
The facial expression, the way his mouth just screams out those words, it's just like, you really feel like he is really so pissed off at this guy. And like I said, the movie is just so clever and so funny and so ridiculously stupid. Like, there's a part in the movie where he's doing his show and he's talking to this woman on the radio, and she's talking about how she's got a thing for her, and Howard Stern's just like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have sex with you over the radio, and he's making these noises with his mouth. This was his mouth, and the lady on the radio is on the phone is getting so horny and so like, it's so ridiculously stupid, and yet I'm laughing my ass off all the time I watch this. I mean, this is one of the funniest movies that probably not a lot of people really know about, honestly. Like, it did well at the box office when it came out, and it was a critical hit as well, but it's kind of gotten a little bit, it hasn't gotten as much attention as of recently until they just put the movie out on Blu-ray a couple years ago. This movie's still hilarious after all these years later. I like the way this movie really does play with your expectations. They really play with your expectations, and they make it kind of heartfelt towards the end of it. Like, I love the way the movie starts when, Howard's coming home from the MTV Video Music Awards, and he sees this woman, and she thinks he's a moron, but as the story goes on, and the film goes on, she realizes that Howard Stern is just is not what she thought it was, and that's kind of the way this movie is. It makes you think that you're gonna get something that you think you're gonna see, but it adds another layer to it. It adds another layer to it that makes it really special, really funny. I mean, I don't think I have any more to say about this movie that hasn't already been said already. This is a friggin' fantastic film. Even if you're not the biggest Howard Stern fan, you could find a lot to really appreciate about this movie. It's so funny. It's so well done. It's written very well. It's directed very well. Some great memorable moments all throughout. It's one of the most hilarious movies that you probably have never seen. If you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out. You will not be disappointed by it. It's one of the most underrated comedies you'll ever see. Private Parts, fantastic movie. Need I say more? So that's Private Parts. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Tim Allen in Jungle to Jungle.
I'm in a hurry right now. I gotta get on a plane that's gotta be back at the museum by 5 o'clock.
New York stockbroker Michael Cromwell has an appointment in the Amazon.
Toronto?
At a remote Indian village.
Oh my God. It's Gilligan's Island.
He's not sure what he's doing there.
If we get to pick our own names, I'd like to pick man who's extremely well endowed.
Sorry, it's already taken.
But he's about to find out.
The boy sitting next to the fire over there is your son.
That is my son? What am I supposed to do now?
No.
The chief has given Mimi the task of bringing fire back from the Statue of Liberty.
No.
He's bringing home his son from one jungle to another.
You're gonna have to learn what men do in my jungle. Want to go someplace, all you do, wave your arm.
Magic.
Oh, magic will be if he understands English.
And the big city is going to get...
What are you doing?
Feed my chica.
What's Matika?
a little savage. Walt Disney Pictures presents...
He's doing a parade! No, come back here!
a story about the lessons of childhood.
Open up! What's going on?
Your son was in his hammock with my daughter.
What? Open this door right now!
All right.
And the rewards of fatherhood. Oh, no. Tim Allen. Coco? Jungle to jungle.
Okay, it's a mouse. Go get it. Oh.
Sorry for the sucky quality on that one. I could have gone for for one of the commercials for it, but I wanted to put that trailer up there just to show how bad the comedy is in this movie, and really one of the many reasons why this movie is not very good. This is a film based off of a remake of a French film called Little Indian Big City, which came out the year before in America and was actually a big hit. And then here's this movie here, and Little Indian Big City has a reputation for not being a good movie. In fact, when Siskel and Ebert did their Worst of the Year list in 1996, I think it was Roger Ebert that put Little Indian Big City on his Worst of the Year list. But Jungle to Jungle ended up being, I think, in 1990 is the toy belt. In 1997, Gene Siskel, when they did their Worst of the Year list for 97, this was on Gene's list for the worst film of 1997. And Roger Ebert, who had said before, put Little Red Big City on his worst for 96, also had it on his, but he actually gave it 1 star out of 4, which is actually more than the 0 stars he gave on the last film. So that should really tell you something here. But really, you could just look at that trailer and their attempts at comedy, and just see how just bad it is. Like, it's really bad comedy. Like the cat thing gets really old really fast. Like, the whole thing about the taxi driver is just like it starts off funny with him just saying, well, you know, put your hand up in the air, and then a car comes up. It's just like, oh, that's magic. And he's just like, you know, well, it'll be magic if he can speak English. It's just like you ruined that joke. So there's a lot of jokes in here that gets ruined. I know I kind of butchered that joke because it was just in the trailer I just showed you, but you get what I'm talking about here. The jokes in here just aren't funny. There's too good of a cast here that work with this. Tim Allen can be really good in movies we've seen. Martin Short can be good in movies that we've seen. Lolita Davidovich, David Ogden Stiers, Joe Beth Williams, Sam Huntington. This is his first movie he's ever been in, which I'll give him credit, though. He's probably the best thing about the movie, but then again, he's not really given a whole lot to do here. And he's at least trying compared to everybody else. You have Lily Sobieski in here. You also have, who else was in here that I completely forgot about? I guess that's it, but yeah, just too good of a cast to work in this film. And it's just not funny. It's not that creative. It's just really, really dull. It's a really boring movie. And, you know, remaking bad movies should be what we should do. We shouldn't just remake all the good movies, all the big hits. Like, remake some bad movies, but don't do it like this movie does. As I said before, this is kind of this trend that we got to when Disney's live-action films were starting to get worse and worse and worse. There were so many bad movies that came out. I mean, we just had That Darn Cat, which came out a couple weeks before this, and this one certainly isn't helping any favors either, and it's only going to get worse from there. There'll be a couple bright spots here and there that we'll get to, but they're very few and far between, so not much more to say about that one. Jungle to Jungle, it's not a good film, so anyway, on to the next film, Rhyme and Reason.
Never been before.
Hey, got that ghetto blood in my veins.
The biggest hip-hop artists telling it like it really is.
The same crime element that white people are scared of, black people are scared of.
Hip-hop is the representation of this oppressed culture, and I will represent that to the day I die.
Rhyme and Reason. It's the ultimate backstage pass. Rated R. Start.
So we can be kind of quick on this one since I haven't seen it. This is a documentary about rap and hip-hop. They interview over 80 significant rap hip-hop artists. It explores the history of the hip-hop culture, how rap evolved into a major cultural voice in a multi-billion-dollar industry, and what these artists have to say about the music's often controversial image and reputation. They have interviews from various people, you know, names you'll be familiar with. Biz Markie, Busta Rhymes, Chuck D, Cypress Hill, Da Brat, Dr. Dre, Heavy D, Keith Murray, Chris Cross, Ice-T, Lauryn Hill, Master P, Method Man, Nas, Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G., Redman, I think I already said Method Man, RZA, Salt and Pepper, Sean Combs, Puffy Combs, Wu-Tang Clan, Wyclef Jean, Zibbit. I mean, there's a lot of notable rappers and hip-hop artists in this film, and it's got a good reputation in terms of documentaries, but as far as the movie itself goes, I don't really know too much about it. I've never seen it before, but it could be something interesting. I mean, if it's as good as they say they are, it could be a very interesting documentary to say the least. So that is Rhyme and Reason. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Good Luck.
Look, just do it, okay? Just shut up and do it.
Hey, don't tell me to shut up.
They're real good pals.
No!
One couldn't walk.
You okay? No!
The other couldn't see.
You can either listen to me, somebody who understands how to play this game, or you can listen to this guy with a clock on his hat.
You have a clock on your hat?
Damn straight.
One hated his job.
Can you turn that down a little bit, please?
The other hated his wife.
Okay, wait a second. How the hell was he able to do that? I mean, this is supposed to be a blind guy, and he's literally throwing a couch off of a two-story building. Like, I don't care if he plays a former pro athlete in this movie. I really refuse to believe that a blind guy can literally lift a couch like that and throw it on top of a car just like that. I mean, that does not make any sense whatsoever. But this is good luck. This is a story about two physically disabled men who come together to challenge themselves out of unsatisfactory lives. You got Gregory Hines, who's a dentist student. He's in a wheelchair because of a car accident that left him paralyzed. And like I said, Vincent D'Onofrio plays this former football player who was blinded in a freak accident on the field. And so in a way, it's kind of like a more serious version of See No Evil, Hear No Evil, except this time Richard Pryor is not the one in the wheelchair, and Vincent D'Onofrio's the blind guy in this situation. So that's the only real comparison I can make to this, because I've never seen this movie. Who knows? Maybe it actually is good, but stuff like that, when he's just throwing the couch over the car, on top of that, it's over the building. It's just like, I don't know if I could take this movie all that seriously. I mean, I haven't heard a lot of good stuff about this. I've seen a little bit of the reviews on here. They mix. Sorry about that. I had a phone call to take, but other than that, though, this movie, like I said, it could definitely be something that's much different compared to that trailer. I mean, but the only thing I'm really looking at is that part where he's throwing the chair off the building. It's just like, yeah, that's just the couch off the building, I should say. But other than that, though, who knows? It could actually be a little bit charming. But that's pretty much all I know about that one. So anyway, on to the next film, and that is Greg Matalla's The Day Trippers.
Why do you put this junk in your head, huh? I see Carl doesn't find it necessary to deface himself.
Carl, show Mom your nipples.
It all started the morning after Thanksgiving. After my sister's husband, Louis, left for work, she found a note. And it looked like a love letter written to Louis. So she brought it over to my mom and dad's house.
Couldn't this be a note from a barracuda who was having an affair with a married man? So what should I do? I suggest that we drive you into the city and you talk to him face to face.
So Mom, Dad, my sister, my boyfriend, and I all crammed into the family car. Carl, tell Mom and Dad about your novel.
The main character is this freak of nature man who doesn't have a normal head. He was born with a dog's head.
Joe loves dogs.
So when we got to New York, we drove to Lewis's office.
You are so lucky to have Louis. He's so sweet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I gave Louis the rest of the day off.
Hey, make it look.
What should we do? Then it got a little complicated.
Of course, Greg Matala is the same guy that will eventually go on to direct Superbad and Adventureland and Paul, Clear History, Confess Flesh was his most recent film. He's made a lot of really good movies, and he directed this movie. This was actually the first film he ever directed. And it's a fun little concept here. You basically have a story where, you see it in the trailer, Hope Davis plays a woman who discovers a love letter that may prove her husband is having an affair, so she decides to go to New York City with her family. And they find him, and chaos ensues all throughout the film. I kind of paused it there because there was a song that was about to play in there, but you get kind of the idea there. And it's a fun little comedy. It's a very fun little film. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Little Miss Sunshine a little bit, and yeah, I think it's a pretty fun film. A good cast: Stanley Tucci, Hope Davis, Parker Posey, Liev Schreiber, Campbell Scott, Marcia Gay Harden, Douglas McGrath. I mean, a really good cast overall here, and a lot of good funny moments in the movie as well. Like a fun little independent comedy. If you haven't seen this, but you've seen other works by Greg Matala, I think you'll definitely like this one a lot. It's a really fun film. So let's go ahead and take a look at the last movie we have here, and that is The Eighth Day.
Là, je voulais amener, je crois qu'il est un peu handicapé.
Vous voyez bien que je suis seul ici.
C'est pas moi à m'occuper de ça, c'est à vous. On paye des impôts pour ça.
So as you can tell, this is from another country. This is a French-Belgian comedy drama that tells the story of a friendship that develops between two men who meet by chance. One is a divorced businessman who feels alienated from his children, and another person is an institutionalized man with Down syndrome, and after he escapes from the mental institution, he's nearly run over by Harry, and they eventually go on this adventure together. So other than that, though, I don't really know anything else about this film. I know that this was submitted as the best foreign language film for the Academy Awards that year from Belgium. But other than that, though, nothing else I really know about this film. I've never seen it before, so I don't know if it's any good or not. But definitely has some promise to it. So, anyway, that is The Eighth Day.
On March 7th, return to the fight for freedom. In the name of adventure.
I'm Luke Skywalker.
I have a really bad feeling about this. Return of the Jedi.
I will not fight you. You must confront Vader.
You are unwise to lower your defenses. 20th Century Fox and George Lucas present
The time for our attack has come.
the last chapter of the Star Wars Trilogy Special Edition.
Well, how could they be jamming us when they don't know if we're coming?
It's a trap!
Your fleet is lost, and your friends will not survive.
Don't move!
I love you.
I know.
There is no escape.
Return of the Jedi with newly enhanced visual effects, DHX and digital sound, and a few new surprises. Live the magic. Experience the power and feel the force like never before.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me. So be it, Jedi.
On March 7th, the last chapter of the Star Wars Trilogy Special Edition. Return of the Jedi.
Of course, this is the end of the Star Wars Trilogy Special Editions. This was actually, as you can tell from that trailer, it was supposed to come out on March 7th, but I guess they pushed it back because Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back were still making money in the re-releases, so I guess Fox wanted to wait another week to get as much money as they could, at least from Empire Strikes Back, and thus Return of the Jedi was put out this weekend, even though Return of the Jedi made the lowest grossing, had the lowest amount of all the Star Wars re-releases, Return of the Jedi, of course, is the last installment of the original trilogy, directed by Richard Marquand, who I did not know this until I looked him up. He died only 4 years after this movie came out. He had like a stroke in London, England. He was only 49 years old when he passed away, which is really hard to think about that. 4 years ago, you made Return of the Jedi, and then all of a sudden that's the end of your life right there. I mean, that's pretty tragic when you really think about it. I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought that was kind of a little bit of an interesting story before we jump into the movie itself. Return of the Jedi, it is a really good film. It's definitely the lesser of the three films in the Star Wars series. It's very interesting the production history behind this, because Steven Spielberg was once attached to direct the film. They almost went to David Lynch and David Cronenberg as possible directors of the year, and just imagine what that would have been like. A David Lynch directed Star Wars movie, or hell, a David Cronenberg directed Star Wars movie, especially after doing Scanners, and then Videodrome, and then this. Needless to say, that would have been very, very interesting. I kind of would have liked to have seen what they would have done with that movie, but of course, like I said before, it's directed this time by Richard Marquand, and it wraps the series up on a good enough note. There's still a lot of stuff in here that's really good. The new stuff they add here is pretty ridiculous. I mean, the trailer alone, those scenes that they added there, you could definitely tell that they added in there, and for this re-release, and it's pretty bad looking. It's not very good, and kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what the prequels would eventually be like a couple years later. But like I said, as far as the movie itself goes, it's still a very solid film. It does have a couple of elements in there that aren't that great, like the whole thing with the Ewoks in here. It's fine, but it's nothing too spectacular. I mean, they basically spell it out here that, yes, Leia is Luke's sister, and you go back to the original Star Wars where they don't say that, and, you get the whole incestuous type of thing. Like, it's a little ewy, but at the same time, it's still ewy. Like, it's still kind of hard to take that in. And, but other than that, though, this movie still is very good. It does a very good job of wrapping up this original trilogy. It does a good job of wrapping up the story they're setting up. Everybody in here is great. Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Billy D. Williams, Anthony Daniels, David Prowse, James Earl Jones, Frank Oz, all the people I'm going to mention here, because you probably have seen this movie many, many times, just like the other Star Wars movies. And really, I don't think I have any more to say about this one that has already been said already. It's definitely the lesser of the Star Wars trilogy, but it is still a very good film. It wraps up a really good trilogy. Yeah, Empire is still going to be the best of these 3 films, and it still has everything that you like about Star Wars, everything that we like about Star Wars at this point. It wraps up the stories very well. It wraps everything up in a nice film, and yeah, I mean, really, you didn't really need to add any more to the storyline, but of course they would later on down the road. But before we get to those movies, we get to the prequels, which come out a couple years later, and this was the thing that probably these movies once again were the thing that probably convinced 20th Century Fox and George Lucas to say, let's finally make this trilogy you wanted to make, this prequel trilogy. And the results for that were certainly mixed, but we will get to those ones once we get to Phantom Menace in '99. But yeah, not much more to say about this one. Return of the Jedi, great movie. Would have been nice to see this on the big screen when I was 8 years old, but I never really got around to seeing these on the big screen, unfortunately. I only really saw my first time ever seeing the Star Wars movies was on video, and then slowly but surely. Honestly, my first Star Wars movie I saw on the big screen was Revenge of the Sith, and that's probably the best of the prequels. But it even ends on kind of a mediocre, on kind of a bland note. Like it was the only one of those movies that was actually enjoyable for a good chunk of it, and then the final 10 minutes come around, and you have Darth Vader going, no! Like, again, we'll delve more into that once we get to Revenge of the Sith. But, like I said, Return of the Jedi, not else more I can say about that one. Classic film, good to end to the original trilogy. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Love Jones.
Negro, what are you doing here?
Let me buy you dinner.
Okay, the Billy D thing is a little played out, but I will give you 10 cool points for nostalgia's sake. I am not trying to meet another man at this time.
You and I should get together sometime and have a drink.
I don't think that'll be a very good idea.
Hey.
Persistence.
Be surprised how far it can get you.
Boom! Put it on. Oh, you're a friend of mine, Tracy Powell.
Hi.
What?
You married?
Wait, my memory serves me correctly. You were the one that told me not to get married.
I did say that, but I also said the Commodores would get back together. I mean, who knew?
What I need is to find a man who's not scared of my power.
Ladies, what's up? I don't need poetry to get women.
No, you need a personality to get women.
Try a breath mint and a visa.
New Line Cinema presents.
We had a perfect date, and I just wanted to feel like I was saving something for later.
But baby, you ain't gotta say nothing for me. I mean, I want mine now.
Sometimes a man just want to be held, cuddled a little bit. Please.
Lorenz Tate, Nia Long, Lisa Nicole Carson, Isaiah Washington, and Bill Bellamy.
I just want to ask you, what type of underwear do you like?
In a film about making it.
All we ask is a little sex on demand. What kind of underwear do you have on?
I don't wear drawers.
You don't have any on right now.
Breaking it.
Where's the body of your daddy, baby?
And putting it all together.
This is nothing serious. This is not a love thing.
Love Jones.
Yes, it's for you.
Wait a minute. You made breakfast.
Directed by Theodore Witcher.
It's been a long time since I've actually seen this one, but from what I remember from it, I did enjoy this movie. But like I said, it's been over 10 years since I've seen this film. You've got Lorenz Tate from Boys in the Hood, Nia Long, Isaiah Washington pre-Grey's Anatomy, Bill Bellamy, Lisa Nicole Carson pre-Alan McBeal. And it is kind of a romantic comedy centering around these 5 different people, and it's very well done. From what I remember from it, I enjoyed the film. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I can't really say if it's held up over the years, which I'm going to assume it is. I mean, I don't think there's anything in this particular film that really would have been different compared to what I saw 10 years ago when I saw this movie, or I can't remember the exact time period, but it felt like 10 years ago. But as far as I remember from it, I did enjoy it. I did remember liking it, but I've never really had a real desire to go back to watch it, honestly. And I like all these people that are in the film. I've seen them in a lot of other good movies. But as far as the movie itself goes, like I said, from what I remember from it, I really did enjoy it, but it's been a long time since I've seen it, so that's pretty much all I can say about that one. So that is Love Jones, so let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is City of Industry.
Hands on your head!
$1 million heist.
How much you gonna get?
A brutal murder.
Killed Jorge, killed my brother.
Critics are calling City of Industry a tense, edge-of-your-seat thriller.
Where is he?
Dorf becomes the new prince of terror.
How did he get to you?
Keitel delivers a real punch.
Why'd you call the police?
I'm my own police.
It'll blow you away. City of Industry.
And this is pretty much a movie we've seen done over and over again. You have a retired thief. He swears revenge on the lunatics who killed his brother and partner while going on the run with the loot that they stole. And I think we've seen these movies done over and over again, but much better. I mean, despite the fact it's got a good cast to it, Harvey Keitel, Timothy Hunt, and Stephen Dorff, Famke Janssen, Michael Jai White, Lucy Liu, Elliot Gould's in here too, so is Dana Barron from Vacation. But this definitely felt like one of those movies that came from Orion as they were slowly but surely closing down their company after going into bankruptcy. This felt like something that was sitting on the shelf for a number of years, and quite frankly, I don't think that a lot of people really know this movie even existed, and quite frankly, I can't imagine why, because it doesn't really look like anything that really stands out on its own. I mean, who knows, maybe this is actually something that could be interesting, or could actually be good, but I've not heard a lot of people say anything really that great about it, so who knows, maybe it isn't that great, maybe it is, or maybe it is something that's special, but like I said, I don't know for sure, I haven't seen it, so I can't really say if it's good or not, so on to the next film, and that is The Substance of Fire.
When Isaac Geldhart was 8 years old, he saw the beginnings of a society's destruction, the erasing of the past. For the last 50 years,
my father is still the single most important publisher of series work in this country.
He's devoted his life to making sure it never happens again.
Another one of those movies that certainly feels very topical even today, about Holocaust deniers and people that don't want to pretend the Holocaust actually happened. You have a person who survived the Holocaust. He arrives in New York as an orphan. He reinvents himself as this bon vivant, married well, found fame and fortune as a champion of authors who are passionate about their work rather than its bestseller potential. And he's kind of faced with this conflict, the potential Japanese takeover of this increasingly insolent firm. He must browbeat his 3 children, all principal stockholders, who he dismisses in varying degrees, including accepting his plan to publish a 6-volume scholarly work on Nazi medical experiments, despite their belief a highly successful commercial novel is the only thing that will keep them from going under. So, basically the plot there, like I said, I haven't seen this movie, so I can't really say if it's any good or not. I don't know if there's anything that promising to it, but like I said, it looks like something that could be very topical even for today, so quick one there, not much more I can say about that one. On to the last film, Drunks.
Here's Jim.
I mean, I was still drinking. She didn't know that I was an alcoholic. I mean, she used to drink champagne with, friends, and I used to join her. It was a celebration. She didn't know.
I turned myself into the hospital when I told them that I had been stealing Demerol from my patients for about 2 years. They put me on probation, but they took me back to the...
I vowed to myself. I promised myself that I would stay sober as long as Stephen was there. And I did.
Hey, 2 years ago today, I had my last drink, my last blackout, and it was the last time I saw my wife and little boy.
If I could crawl out of my skin, I would. As it is, I hardly breathe, and I pray to God that she's not, able to hear me. I am shaking like crazy.
I was trying to relive the 60s in the 80s, and it just didn't work out for me. I got stuck somewhere in the middle. But God, I wanted to be Janis Joplin so bad.
Ensemble piece about a group of alcoholics and addicts who attend an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. They each have these different stories. You see Richard Lewis in there, Faye Dunaway, Diane Weiss, Spalding Gray, Amanda Plummer, Parker Posey, Lisa Gay Hamilton, Callista Flockhart, Sam Rockwell, Zach Grenier, some notable names in here overall, and again, I don't really know too much about this movie. I don't know if it's anything that great or anything about it, but I see a lot of good reviews for it. I mean, it does seem like a movie where it kind of feels like an equivalent to something like My Dinner with Andre, where you're in a room and you just have all these people talking about their problems. And I mean, if it's done well, it could turn out to be really good. So maybe this actually could be something pretty interesting. But again, like I said, I don't really know too much about the movie. I can't really say if it's that great or not, but definitely shows some promise from what I see here from that little trailer. So another quick one there. So that's Drunks.
We're going to share what our parents do for work.
My mom's a teacher.
And your dad?
He's a liar.
You mean he's a lawyer?
Fletcher Reed was climbing the ladder of success.
You're the victim here. Driven into the arms of another man.
7.
Yeah, whatever.
One lie.
Tell him it's in the mail. I ran out of gas. You're losing a little weight.
At a time.
The true victim is my client. Put yourself in his shoes for a moment. You're walking from church, and suddenly you encounter
Bouncing from the shadows.
But what made him a successful lawyer?
Your ex-wife called. I have to go to court this afternoon.
Fletcher, it's his birthday.
Also made him an unpredictable father.
He said he was going to be here. He promised.
Until one day, his son decided to make an honest man out of him.
I wish that for only one day Dad couldn't tell a lie.
Was it good for you? I've had better.
Now,
Any change, mister?
Absolutely. Could you spare some? Yes, I could. I can't lie.
all he can do is tell the truth.
Like a dress?
Whatever takes the focus off your head.
The whole truth.
You know why I pulled you over?
They changed lanes without signaling while running a red light and speeding!
And nothing but the truth.
It was me!
Your wish came true.
You mean you have to tell the truth?
How are we doing this morning, Consul?
I'm a little upset about a bad sexual episode I had last night.
From Universal Pictures and Imagine Entertainment, and the director of The Nutty Professor, Jim Carrey. Liar, liar.
You in the building?
Mm-hmm. Everybody's been real nice.
Well, that's because you have big...
Another great comedy from the late 90s. I mean, this is one of my all-time favorite comedies, and really, it's hard not to see why. This is everything that makes Jim Carrey as funny as he can be, which is interesting when you consider that this is kind of a redemption for him after The Cable Guy was seen as a misfire at the box office the previous summer, and it also comes around the same time that Tom Shadyac, the director, the two of them had already worked together, of course, in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, but this was after he made another great comedy from the late 90s, The Nutty Professor, which came out the previous summer. And to have these two guys back together again, you just see how great they work off each other in this as director and star, because, man, like I said before, man, this is a great, great movie. Some interesting things I found out about this movie early on was that Steve Martin was actually, this was actually supposed to be written as a vehicle for Steve Martin, in which he'd play a scummy real estate agent who lies to clients about houses. And then that was later rewritten for him to become a lawyer by, of all people, Judd Apatow. And they wanted somebody no older than 35. Of course, you had Jim Carrey, Mike Myers, and Eddie Murphy at the time. Myers turned it down to do Austin Powers, and so Carrey eventually took it after he turned down the role of Dr. Evil to do Liar Liar. So that's kind of interesting how that turned out there. And the results speak for themselves, man. I mean, this is a film that's really, really funny, and it's funny because of Jim Carrey. You could just tell that he was having the time of his life working on this movie. He was doing a lot of improv on here, and in fact, he said that there's over 1 million feet of film tape that was wasted because people were uncontrollably laughing at his improv, and really, how can you blame him? I mean, this is peak Jim Carrey at his finest, man. This is probably the funniest comedy overall he has ever done. I mean, it's a funny movie on so many levels, largely because of what Carrey brings to the table here. There's just so many moments in here that are so laugh-out-loud funny. Like, every time I watch it, and I laugh my ass off at how crazy the elements of comedy in this go. In this, like, of course, you have the scene with the pen, and him trying to and also the scene in the bathroom where he's beating the crap out of himself. I mean, stuff like that is great, but the concept alone is really good. Like, you have a lawyer, and lawyers, of course, have to lie sometimes in order to win cases and all that. He built this guy builds his career on lying, and his son basically says, you know what, I wish for one day he wouldn't lie all the time, and then all of a sudden, like, it just happens, man. He makes his birthday wish, and then he has to figure out how to get through a day like this without having to lie, and you could see the torture that he goes through in here, and that's just the magic of what Jim Carrey brings to the table in this performance. I mean, I don't think anybody else could really do what Carrey does in this movie and make this movie as great as it is. I mean, this is a comedy that still holds up more than 25 years later, and he's got a great cast to work around it as well. You know, Carrie Elways, Maura Tierney, Jennifer Tilly, Swoosie Kurtz, the young kid Justin Cooper is very good here. You got Anne Haney from Mrs. Doubtfire. I mean, there's not much more I can really add to this movie that hasn't already been said already. I mean, it's a hilarious comedy that just works on so many levels, and it works mostly because of Jim Carrey. Like I said, this is peak Jim Carrey comedy at its best. So much so that he actually brings in a character from In Living Color in here, too. Something that I didn't even notice until very later on down the road. Fire Marshal Bill is in this movie at the end of the film. And I can't show it on here, honestly, but I've seen it before, and yeah, you could... It's kind of hard to see at first, but once you've watched it more than once, you definitely can tell that's him as Fire Marshal Bill. And I thought, that's just such a clever little detail to throw in there and completely throw you off to the side there. I mean, like I said before, man, I got nothing else to say about this one. Liar, Liar is a classic film. If you haven't seen it already by this point, you are doing yourself a major, major disservice by not doing so. So, yeah, so that's Liar, Liar. So, anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Jennifer Lopez in the musical biopic Selena.
I'm a little scared. Are they gonna love me, Mama? Yes, they're gonna love you.
Warner Brothers is proud to present the story of one family's hopes. She is special. She's got it. I can feel it. For a dream.
Maybe I just feel like I could do anything
that would come true. Jennifer Lopez, Edward James Olmos, Selena.
This is, of course, the biopic about Selena Quintanilla Perez. I think I'm pronouncing that name right. Who, of course, her life was tragically cut short when she was murdered in a hotel room by this woman named Yolanda Saldivar in March of 1995. And, of course, she was only 23 years old when she passed away. And so you have a biopic talking about her rise to fame and eventually her tragic death here, which that trailer I showed you there didn't do much of a good job of showing... balancing it out a little bit, although the trailer I think does it a little bit better. But I understand why they had to do it. They're trying to sell this movie, but also you have to. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to sell this movie, honestly, without bringing up what eventually happens to her. And I think the actual full-length trailer I think does a better job of showing that. But as far as the movie itself goes, it's a pretty standard biopic, honestly. I think the performances overall are very good here. You've got Jennifer Lopez really giving it her all here. She really is perfectly cast in this role as Selena, and her father, Edward James Olmos, is very good in here, as her father, I should say. Constance Maria from George Lopez is in here. John Cena is very good here. It's an overall enjoyable movie. It does kind of take the typical biopic approach, where it basically kind of sanitizes everything about Selena. It doesn't really show, like, it's trying to show all the positives, because we know how this is going to end, but at the same time, though, it doesn't really take any real chances to it. It's more of it could be a celebration of this person, but you also really have to also delve into the personal stuff, the stuff that's not that good. It's the stuff that really should be talked about more, but it's not really doing it, and that's part of the problem that I have with a lot of biopics. Especially nowadays, especially with stuff like Bohemian Rhapsody, they hint at the deeper, darker stuff, but they don't do a really good job of showing it on there because they want to show all the happy moments on there, and that's fine. You could do that, but at the same time, though, you gotta show some of the more heavier stuff here, and I get it. In this case, they do go to the heavier stuff at the end of the movie, but most of the movie doesn't really feel like it's a solid biopic. Like it doesn't really show everything that we need to know about this character, about this person, I should say, but like I said, it's not a bad movie per se. It just kind of falls into the category of most of these biopics. They don't really want to show you all the heavy stuff that they probably should show you, but it's not a bad movie per se. I don't hate it by any means necessary. I think you watch this movie specifically to see Jennifer Lopez really cement this role, and I think really show everybody that, hey, she can be a really good actress, as she's shown later on down the road. But again, it's a little bit too sanitized at times. They don't really show you the heavy stuff that you really should know about. But like I said, it's not something that kills the movie overall. It's a fine film for what it is. I mean, it's not something I'd go back and watch over and over again, but I've seen it a couple of times, and I've really enjoyed it because of Jennifer Lopez and what she brings to the table here. But other than that, though, it's a solid film. Nothing too crazy, nothing too spectacular. Not one of the best biopics ever, but certainly not one of the worst. So that's Selena. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the re-release of one of my all-time favorite movies, actually my second favorite movie of all time, and that is, of course, The Godfather.
Celebration of the 25th anniversary of The Godfather. All 3 films within the series are now available in widescreen and have been digitally remastered with THX certification and feature new interviews with author Mario Puzo, Al Pacino, Talia Shire, and director Francis Ford Coppola. The Godfather 25th Anniversary Edition.
Now, there wasn't an official trailer for this particular re-release of The Godfather, so I just took the clip from the video trailer for when the entire trilogy came out on VHS. Of course, you see the digital remastered in THX, all that type of stuff, but The Godfather was re-released this weekend for the 25th anniversary of the film from 1972. Of course, this is the film that Francis Ford Coppola directed, based off the script by Mario Puzo, which is based off of his best-selling novel, the same name. Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, James Caan, Robert Duvall, Diane Keaton, Talia Shire, just the many people involved in this movie. Of course, this is the first installment of the series, taking place between 1945 and 55, with Vito Corleone, played by Marlon Brando, and the transformation of his youngest son, Michael Corleone, played by Al Pacino, from reluctant family outsider to ruthless mafia boss. And again, this is one of those ones where I really don't have to really say a whole lot about it from what has already been said about it. I mean, The Godfather is one of the greatest cinematic achievements of all time, and the Godfather trilogy as a whole is my second favorite movie series of all time. I mean, just my second favorite movie of all time, honestly. Like, I have a thing with my favorite movies where I just can't pick one movie out of a series of films, and I have a couple of trilogies in my list that I can't really decide on which one out of those specific films to make in my list, so I just put them all together. So the Godfather trilogy as a whole is my second favorite movie of all time. If The Godfather Part 3 had been a little bit better, it'd probably be my all-time favorite movie, honestly. But The Godfather, what more do I even need to say about this movie? It's a film that just works on so many levels. A very long, grand crime epic. This is a thing that's that's over 3 hours long, and it never feels like it's boring you. It never feels like you're getting tired of watching this. You get so invested in these characters and the situations that they essentially have to deal with, and how the mafia works, and it's just like you get so invested in what's going on here, and it's really hard not to get invested in the storyline here. The acting overall is fantastic. Of course, Marlon Brando gets a great performance, so does Al Pacino. The cast overall is great. The violence in this movie is so well done. The classic moments are definitely there, from the horse head in the bed to, of course, Michael's wife getting her second wife, I should say, getting killed the way she does. Like, it's just like moments like that. The deaths in this movie, as I said before, top notch. I mean, this is a film that just really, it keeps your investment all throughout the course of the movie, and you're just wondering how this transpires throughout the course of the film. Like, how does Michael establish himself? Like he says in the beginning, basically that that's his family. It's not him, but as we later find out, it is. He is part of that family, and so he kind of doesn't really have a choice in this matter here. Like, he has to really follow in the family footsteps, and of course that's what eventually happens at the end of the movie. And again, I really don't know what else I can pretty much add to this that hasn't already been said already, but I will say, for the sequels, The Godfather Part 2, I think, is just as good, if not better, than the original film. Once again, it ups the ante. It expands the universe a little bit more. It tells more of a grander story, because we get more of the younger Vito, played by Robert De Niro, in that film, which, of course, was one of the films that won Robert De Niro one of his Oscars. And again, that's another one I don't really have to say too much about. It's like I said, it's one of the greatest sequels of all time. Godfather Part 3, I never hated like everybody else did. I've already talked about that movie before in length. If you want to go check that video out, I'll put a link to it in the corner right there, or I keep forgetting I have this backwards, so this corner, I should say. So go ahead and check that out if you want to see that. But I will say the recent re-release, re-edit they did with the Godfather Coda, I think is a lot better. I think it's a more fluent story. I think they add elements in there that actually make more sense to the story. But I never really hated The Godfather Part 3 like everybody else did. It's definitely the lesser of the three films, but it's still a great film overall. It's still a really good film, a really great film overall, I should say. I keep going back and forth with good, great, but it's still an enjoyable film. But yeah, Godfather original, not much more I can say about it that hasn't already been said already. Fantastic film. What more do I have to say about it? It's a true classic. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Mandela.
In the case of accused number 1, Nelson Mandela, the sentence is life imprisonment.
They have not stopped us, and they won't. There has been protest action in capital cities all over Europe and America. France, Germany, Japan, they're all against me. Now is the time to sit down with Mandela.
Listen, I am the president. The world has decided that South Africa doesn't exist. Mr. President, the country needs new leadership.
2 men.
Every day, the cells of your jails grow more and more crowded with angry and defiant young men
whose beliefs shook the world.
The time has come for our nation to take a new course.
Don't trust them.
And change the course of history.
Okay, so I should probably say that this is not the Mandela that I thought I was going to look at. Apparently there was a documentary about Mandela that came out, Nelson Mandela, that came out in 1996, but it got a release in 1997. I couldn't find any clips for that particular documentary, and when I took the clip that you saw right there, I thought that was that movie in particular, but this is a made-for-TV film that was on Showtime around the same time in February of 1997. You have Sidney Poitier as Nelson Mandela and Michael Caine as F.W. de Klerk. I could talk about the documentary, but I've never seen it before, so, and like I said, I couldn't find any footage of it, so I'm going to make an executive decision. I'm going to delve into this one here, because I've seen little bits and pieces of this particular film, but never the whole way through. And I will say that Sidney Poitier does a very good job as Nelson Mandela here, and Michael Caine, I thought was alright in the film, but from the little bits that I've seen from it, but like I said, I haven't seen the movie as a whole, and I thought this was a completely different film altogether, but like I said, I couldn't find any footage from the documentary, so I made this decision to just keep that in there. So it's basically around the same time period, so I guess it'll count no matter what. The documentary's probably better, but this movie, from the little bits I've seen from it, doesn't look too bad, honestly. So, quick one there. I haven't seen the whole thing, so basically, you're following the negotiations between de Klerk and Mandela to basically end South American apartheid, and this was nominated for several awards in 97 and 98, so again, not much more I could tell you about this one, but seen a couple bits of clips, thought it was alright there, so maybe it's actually a pretty good movie. But with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie here, and that is Steven Soderbergh's Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, that's right. Say lightning hit this tree now and a branch cracked and came down, hit your head, and your brains are drooling out all over the grass. Would you go to a doctor then?
At first, I really thought that this gentleman was just an actor and that he would try to memorize, or let's say, just be able to give his lines in a certain way. And he was so very knowledgeable, really, when it came to some of the medical terms. I really was surprised. It really was. He was the patient.
Dr. Mandel, over here, please. It's me, the patient.
Well, I just thought that the methods he chose, the alternative methods, including the sweat box.
Oh, Great Spirit, this is Spaulding speaking, and I want to give away the fear that I'm about to have a heart attack at any minute.
This is another one of Spalding Gray's concert films, even though technically there's no audience here, and it's basically him just sitting at a table and drinking water and going on these monologues, which basically was his whole shtick the whole time. And it was a good thing overall. Like, I've seen most of his movies; they're pretty fun to watch, and this is another one that's really enjoyable. You basically have Spalding Gray here as the main character, who is diagnosed with a rare ocular condition called macula pucker, And after hearing all of his options, such as Christian Science, Native American sweat lodges, and the Elvis Presley of psychic surgeons, and the dangers of what surgeries could bring, he basically decides to go through other forms of medicine provided. This in turn takes him on this journey around the world and steers him away from surgery more so because of religious reasons, often in a dramatic and humorous fashion. And the film, basically, you see it right there, it's basically him doing these type of monologues throughout the... Excuse me. But he's doing these monologues throughout the course of the film. And they're very interesting. They're very interesting. They kind of remind me of a little bit of sort of a toned down Denis Leary in a way, because like he has kind of a delivery style to Denis Leary, except he's not swearing all the time. But overall, yeah, it's a really fun movie. It's a really enjoyable film. It's very much in the vein of what you expect from Steven Soderbergh too. This is one of his films that was kind of in the middle between his early success with Sex, Lies, and Videotape, and before he would eventually find new success with Out of Sight, which would be the next film he'd follow after this. And it's a pretty good movie. It's a very entertaining film. It's very witty. If you like Spawning Gray style of entertainment, you'll definitely get a lot of value out of it. And it's a ton of fun. It's a really enjoyable, fun film. I'd highly recommend checking it out if you can find it, which I think it's on Criterion Collections, because that's where I found the trailer for this. So definitely check it out if you want to see this type of humor done very well. So yeah, so that's Grey's Anatomy.
Much, but it's dry and it's warm. How you fixed for work?
Start tomorrow.
Good.
Very decent of you to put me up like this.
Don't worry. Welcome to America.
So, don't you think it's lovely here?
You're from Belfast?
Aye.
He was welcomed into their family.
Mom said dinner's ready.
That's a lovely dress you have on there.
Are you married?
And trusted as a friend. But something in his past
Do you ever feel guilty about it?
has brought the danger home.
Hey! Get out! Get out!
You stay where you are, man.
Who are you? Did you bring this into my house?
I need that money, Tom.
What's all that money for that you hid in my basement?
The only thing I can think of is guns, like the one my wife had jammed in her face.
Francis McGuire, a.k.a. Frankie the Angel.
I have been given the authority to use any means necessary to bring closure to this issue.
You're gonna kill him. I understand why he's doing what he's doing. If I was 8 years old and saw my father gunned down in front of my family.
You're on your own here, laddie.
I love him. You love him too, don't you? There is no way out for him. He's gonna die if you and I don't do something.
I don't really see where the title The Devil's Zone comes into play here, because it literally does not come into play in this movie whatsoever. You basically have Brad Pitt, who's a member of this provisional Irish Republican Army, who comes to the United States to obtain black market anti-aircraft missiles to shoot down British helicopters in Northern Ireland. And the plan is complicated by this policeman, played by Harrison Ford, whom the IRA member has come to regard as family. So, I mean, I might be missing something here, but I don't see where the title The Devil's Zone comes into play here. But as far as the movie itself goes, it's pretty mediocre. I mean, it's a bland action thriller. I think Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt really are the best parts of this movie. This is directed by Alan J. Pakula, which actually will be his last film because he passed away the next year. And then Gordon Willis, the longtime cinematographer for many Woody Allen films and Pakula films, as well as the Godfather trilogy. He would retire soon after this movie came out. out. So it was the last movie that he ever shot. And as far as the film itself goes, it's pretty forgettable. I mean, it's got a good cast to it. Besides Ford and Pitt, you got Ruben Blades, Natasha McElhone, Julia Stiles, and also you see Treat Williams in there. By the way, rest in peace, Treat Williams. He passed away earlier this week. And yeah, as far as the movie itself goes, it's pretty forgettable. It's a film that I think really has more of the enjoyment factor in the performances by Ford and Pitt themselves, but other than that, though, it's a pretty bland movie. There's no real big twist in there. I mean, they kind of tell you what the twist is in that trailer there, but yeah, as far as everything else goes, it's a pretty bland thriller. There's nothing too exciting about it, nothing too engaging about it. It's a pretty mediocre film that only gets by because of the two leads really working off each other. I think Brad Pitt slowly but surely continues to prove that, hey, I'm not just the flavor of the week. I can prove to be a really good actor, and once again, this is another film that really shows his ability to evolve as an actor, and that we will eventually see later on down the road. But, like I said, not a great movie, but not a bad film either. Just kind of a mixed bag film that mostly works because of Ford and Pitt. Other than that, though, it's a pretty largely forgettable film. So that is The Devil's Own. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Marlon Wayans and Kadeem Hardison in The Sixth Man.
Let's go, push the ball, Kenny Tyler on the dish to brother Anton.
When the Washington Huskies lost their star player, they thought their dream of a championship died with him. But Anton Tyler is coming back to give his team a ghost of a chance.
What's up with you, man?
It's Anton. He's back, and he's right here. See? Look at him, guys. He's back. Look at him. You need some serious help. Wait, I'm gonna prove it to you. Just throw it in. I'll do all the rest.
Tyler, the chest pass loops up to the basket. It goes in.
That happens on this planet all the time.
The UW Huskies, the march on to the grade A.
Keep this girl at a distance, man.
What was that?
It's freaky.
For anyone who loves the game, and everyone who refuses to sit on the sidelines. Touchstone Pictures presents...
Hey, what you doing? You can't catch no fish here. Get on my nerves.
Marlon Wayans.
I'll smoke you back. Don't mess with a dead man.
And Kadeem Hardison.
I love you more than anything in this world. But you gotta stop popping up all the time and wanting to play.
The Sixth Man.
You know something? Hey. I have the same problem. Trust me, my problems are a lot bigger than yours.
I think that trailer kind of perfectly sums up all the good stuff about this movie and a lot of the bad stuff that's about this movie. I mean, the premise has a lot of potential to work with here. You got the idea of this dead basketball player coming back to life to help this college basketball team, which, I mean, if you think Marlon Wayans and Kadeem Hardison are college basketball players at this point, I mean, that's a little bit too far-fetched, but they basically have to become champions, and with Marlon Wayans, you got a potential for a PG-13 Angels in the Outfield type of scenario, but the movie kind of goes down as much as you think it would. It's a paint-by-the-numbers underdog sports movie with the typical storyline, typical plot twist, typical attempts at comedy you would expect from this premise. And it's kind of a lackluster effort. I mean, you see the bits of comedy they set up here, and it's going to go to the same routes that you expect on nearly every level. There's not a whole lot of creativity there whatsoever. But then again, there are times when there are legitimately funny moments splattered around the film. They don't really happen a lot in this movie. They don't leave too much of an impact to make it stand out on its own, but I would say there's a good laugh about once, maybe every 25 to 30 minutes, and there's a ton of voids where the jokes just fall flat and just don't work. You also don't really get invested in these characters, honestly. You're trying to build this kind of this brotherly relationship between Kadeem Hardison and Marlon Wayans, a teammate relationship too. But they never give you enough time to build that relationship and why these two are so connected throughout the film. Like, why is Marlon Wayans' character the only one that can see Hardison? You can make the argument so Wayans can scream at the top of his lungs, and he usually does that. The two commercials are only centered around him screaming like crazy, and they don't even try to hide it. Like, the movie could have had potential to be something really funny and really creative and really clever, but it never delivers on their promises. Sometimes you'll get a good laugh here or there, but it's never enough to warrant a full recommendation. This is one of those lesser comedies you would see in the middle of one of those Mill Creek triple feature DVD sets where it just so happens I have a triple feature set that includes this, Eddie, and Celtic Pride. And solely to those 3 basketball comedies on one box set, it's probably the lesser of the 3 films, but it's a mediocre movie on so many levels. But you get kind of the idea here. It's one of those movies that comes and goes. It's funny how there's 3 basketball movies that came out by Disney between 96 and 97 in this 1 month period, and most of them are pretty forgettable. I think the best one out of the 3 was Celtic Pride, and even then, it wasn't really saying a whole lot. But as far as this film goes, it's another mediocre film. Nothing too crazy, nothing too exciting. It's there. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the next movie, and that is Turbo, a Power Rangers movie.
It's time to power up. The world's most famous action force is back on the big screen. With a secret weapon.
I'm the new Blue Ranger.
What are you talking about? A giant problem. And a whole new way.
Wind Chaser, ready to howl.
This is awesome.
To thrill.
Let's rip some velocity.
All right.
Turbo action.
Good thing you don't need a license to drive Zord.
Turbo power. Turbo sword.
Megazord warp sequence is online. Let's shift to the turbo.
That's my man.
Get ready for the ultimate power trip.
What a rush.
Turbo, a Power Rangers movie.
A movie so bad that it only has a 1-minute trailer and that's it. This isn't a commercial that you see on TV. No. This is on the big screen. This is the only trailer that's available out there. There may have been another one, but not that I've seen. I mean, remember the build-up and the excitement they had for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, how they built it up to be this big movie event, and is the fact that this is the only major trailer that they had for this, and it just shows some exciting action sequences in concept, but botched in the actual film. Yeah, this movie makes the first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie look like Citizen Kane by comparison. I mean, this is past the point when I stopped caring about Power Rangers. I said in the review for Power Rangers, the movie, I stuck with the original series, and then that was kind of it for me. So I never saw that movie in its entirety. This movie in its entirety, I should say. And though thought the first Power Rangers movie was as stupid as you can get, well, luckily they made a sequel that's even more stupider and more ridiculous. I'm not even kidding. This movie feels like the first movie was at least somewhat of a guilty pleasure movie. It had redeemable qualities to it with the old school soundtrack they were using in the action, but this movie, good lord, it's like they took the budget from Power Rangers the movie, cut it in half, then cut the budget of the TV show in half just for the hell of it, and then made this movie, and that's how bad you know this movie is. The first warning sign right away, the little kid in the movie is your typical annoying-ass little kid and just wants to hang out with the rest of the gang. And in this movie, they just make him the new Blue Ranger. And when he says, guys, I'm the new Blue Ranger, that's when you know the movie is so screwed. Because not only does this kid have to show up in a lot of this movie, but he'll be seen more in the TV series that followed. And let's just say it's a good thing I stopped at the original series. Plus, this kid is really small. How the hell are you supposed to make him the same size as everybody else in the Rangers uniform? It's so... this is some of the problems with it. This is one of the biggest problems with the movie. Second of all, the special effects look terrible. Zordon looks horrible in this movie. Zordon actually looked good in the first movie. You can tell that they put the budget into that. And in this movie, it's like they took a paper mache and put him in this little pedestal, and it's so terrible. It's like, what am I even looking at here? It looks like Zordon was jumbled up into a piece of paper and then thrown on the big screen. I mean, it looks horrible. It's even worse that the voice actor doesn't even sound like he knows what the hell's going on. And, in fact, a good majority of the actors on screen all look like they don't know what they're doing here, and only in this because it's a Power Rangers movie, because it's going to be a hit. And, yeah, I should probably tell you that this thing only brought in $9 million worldwide. So, yeah, not a big hit. Not a big hit per se, but, on top of that, the story makes no sense. They literally bring back Kimberly and Rocky from the Power Rangers from the first series for no reason except to be fan service, and not even good fan service. I mean, what even do I need to say about this movie that hasn't already been said already? It's nothing redeemable at all. The script is terrible, the acting is terrible, the action is terrible, the visual effects are terrible. It's just a horrendous mess of a movie. If you really are that needy to see a Power Rangers movie, just go watch the first movie again. Or you know what? Go watch the 2017 one. It's much better, but, I mean, avoid this movie like the plague, man. This is a horrible, horrible movie. So that's Turbo Power Rangers movie, and let's go ahead and take a look at the next movie, and that is Robert Townsend's Baps.
Girl, we need to move on, and we need to get us some new jobs.
Listen, y'all, I got the inside scoop on the biggest video edition to hit the airwaves, the video dance girl of the world.
It's a sign from God. Me see you bugging. There's only one way we gonna find out. Let's go to L.A. You might want to go on home now, because I'm here. That's my girl! Okay.
My boss is doing a music video. I thought you'd be perfect for it.
How many C notes we talking here?
$10,000.
Where he at?
New Line Cinema presents
Living large and taking charge, big boy.
How did you get past security? A movie about two friends. Follow me. On the way up.
Lead the way, Alfred.
Who's Alfred?
You know, Batman's homeboy. Put it back, Kurt. Put it back, Kurt. Got you.
My uncle is a very sick man.
That's sad.
I'm not making a music video. This job involves an old man to make sure that his days are filled with kindness and love.
I ain't giving up no booty.
No. Now, they're going to show the other half.
They don't pay crazy cash for this. She look like Lakeisha Jenkins with a bad hair weave.
How to live.
I know you like golf and stuff, but you really need to be watching BET.
Good morning, everybody. Don't forget my Ice Cube CD, Manly.
A 2-pack, too short, the dog pound, and pull up to the bunk park, baby.
You got that Mac 10, baby? Yeah. West Coast. What you know about that Luke Skywalker, huh? Get it?
Hey, why they got two toilets? You know how rich folks is. They've got to feel like they got a choice in everything.
What say we go on a shopping spree?
Today must be my lucky day.
This spring.
Oh, it's so cool. You down with us.
Give it up.
You need to scoot over, because I ain't got no problem sleeping on this expensive white carpet, because I know it's poodle hair.
For the ladies in the house.
Now then, who could be calling at this time?
It's my boyfriend.
He says you're tripping because you're in Hollywood, and he hopes you don't get played.
Baps.
Tell him he better hope his mama don't get played.
Hello, sir. She hopes your mama don't get played.
Okay. Well, that was a lot to take in. Of course, BAPS in this case stands for Black American Princesses. They, of course, being played by Halle Berry and Natalie Dessely. And then you have Martin Landau shortly after he won an Academy Award. For Ed Wood, and this is written by Troy Beyer. And Troy Beyer would later go on to this is actually the first movie she ever wrote, and this is a film that she's actually worked in Hollywood before. She worked on Disorderlies, the Fat Boys movie from the 80s, which honestly kind of reminds me of what this movie is. This is kind of the equivalent to a movie like Disorderlies, where you have it's mostly African-American centered people having to deal with an older white person in a situation. Of course, in that movie, it's the Fat Boys and Ralph Bellamy. This time around, it's Halle Berry, Natalie Dessely, and Martin Landau. And it's a weird movie, because when this came out, it was thrashed by critics. It was seen as a major misfire for not only Halle Berry, who was a rising star, but Martin Landau, Robert Townsend. I mean, Robert Townsend this is the guy that made Hollywood Shuffle just 10 years ago, and was still considered a prominent director, even though The Meteor Man was not a big hit. And this, I think, was the last major theatrical release he did before he eventually went over straight to TV or DVD, or TV movie or Disney or DVD movies, I should say. But yeah, I remember seeing this a long time ago, and I rarely remember a thing about it. I didn't think it was all that funny. I didn't think it was all that memorable. And I thought that this was going to be something that was going to be a big blemish on Halle Berry's record. But then again, look at what Halle Berry has done since then. I mean, not only she won an Academy Award and saved her career a little bit, but she's made far worse movies than this. Catwoman, The Call, Kidnap. I mean, there are certainly a lot worse movies than this film. And this film has had a cult following, too. Like, it's amazing how to think that this movie seems very offensive to black people, but at the same time, you look at some of these reviews that have come long after this movie's come out, the film has become a cult classic. I think somebody said that the fact that this film had such a lasting impact proves that the film spoke to its audience. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something there that I'm missing here. Maybe there's something that there was a lot that was being missed here. I mean, it's a very weird situation here with this film. From what I remember from this movie, I don't remember really liking it all that much. But then again, it's been over 20 years since I've seen this movie. I saw this on video back in the late 90s. So, for all I know, maybe I was just too young to really understand what they were trying to go for here. Maybe there's more to this than there actually is. I mean, nobody is really saying that this is one of the greatest movies of all time. This is up there with some of Townsend's other works, but they are saying that it's much better than I think than people are giving it credit for. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe that's the case. Maybe I just need to go back and watch it again. Maybe there actually is something there that I'm not seeing there before, but from what I remember from it, I don't remember it being that great, but then again, I saw it when I was about 10 years old, so really, that doesn't really say that if the movie's had some longevity to it or what, but I don't know, maybe it's worth a rewatch. If I find it somewhere down the road, I might actually check it out again, but as far as I remember from it, I don't remember liking it too much, but I'm open to seeing it again to see if there's more to it that I didn't see before, so that's BAP. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Cats Don't Dance.
This spring, Turner Feature Animation introduces you to some new characters you'll love in a story that could only happen in the movies. It's about a cat named Danny. He's got a dream. He's going to Hollywood.
Where the streets are paved with gold.
And he's ready to dance his way to the top. So join Danny.
I guess we're going to be the only two cats on the ark, huh?
Sawyer.
So much for preserving the species.
Tilly.
I hear hippos are very, very big on Broadway.
They're big everywhere, darling.
Wooly. And Pudge.
Uh-oh, I'm busted.
Along with all of their incredibly hilarious and entertaining new friends. And Darla Dimple, child star extraordinaire.
I am an angel.
And her faithful assistant, Max.
Max!
Yes, Miss Dimple. But what Danny doesn't know is she's the only star who can keep all his dreams from coming true.
I hate animals! Especially that one!
I got a dream in my heart.
With new songs by Grammy Award winners Randy Newman and Natalie Cole. Nothing's gonna stop audiences everywhere from enjoying a brand new world of animated fun, excitement, and adventure.
See you in the movies.
Cats Don't Dance.
Leaves you kind of speechless. Don't it?
So, of course, this is coming after the success of Space Jam, and Warner Brothers had actually just merged with Turner Feature Animation, which is the main studio behind this. They merged with them not too long after Space Jam came out, and so there was a lot of high hopes for many people who saw the trailer for this and thought this could be pretty good. I mean, this is kind of what Warner Brothers has usually done when they find success with one movie. They try to relaunch their animation studios to try to compete with Disney, and we'll delve into what happened afterward, but as far as the movie itself goes, this is a really solid movie all around. I don't think a lot of people really talk about it, and it's unfortunate because there is a lot to admire about the film. The animation is gorgeous and spectacular to look at. It is amazing how Warner Brothers comes so close to capturing a lot of the animation style of Disney that you would swear that this was a movie done by them. But it also gives it its own unique look to it, something like the old school classic cartoons from like MGM and even Warner Brothers themselves, like the old Looney Tunes. You definitely see a lot of that in this movie. It's certainly a hell of a lot better than Quest for Camelot, which they literally ripped off Disney's animation and did nothing else with it. But we'll eventually delve into that one when we get to 98. But the songs by Randy Newman are really good. That opening song, Our Time Has Come, by Kerry Wilson and James Ingram, is probably one of the best underrated movie songs of the last couple of decades. You have a great voice cast that can sing pretty well. Who would have thought that Scott Bakula could sing as well as he does, playing the role of Danny? Jasmine Guy playing Sawyer is very good. She's very solid in the film. And you got Natalie Cole doing her voice, which is actually, her singing voice, I should say, which is pretty cool to see, but it also has a great, strong supporting cast. The villain in the movie is great. Darla Dimple is both hilarious and pretty damn threatening, too. I always kept thinking of a really young Yzma from Emperor's New Groove when I watched this again. You could tell the animators were having a blast doing the animation for her, because whenever she's on screen, it's chaos and insanity, and it's so amazing to see that. Even her butler, Max, has a ton of great moments in here. And just, it tells you a lot when the legacy of this movie, when they actually parody it in an episode of South Park. They literally parody a scene from Darla's big song sequence in the movie in an episode of South Park, which is pretty amazing when you really think about it. That's how the following has been building and building over the last couple of years. So it seems like a winner here. So why didn't the movie do well? And it's mostly because Warner Brothers didn't really market it all that well. I mean, like I said before, they had just bought up Turner Animation. In fact, a lot of the animators who worked on the film were excited about this movie coming out, and then when they saw that there was hardly any advertising for it, and it bombed big time. It only made $3.5 million off of a $32 million budget because the studio barely marketed the film, and when they did that, it completely ruined any potential excitement this movie had. I didn't even know this movie was coming out until the Space Jam videotape came out a couple weeks prior to this, and I saw the trailer for it, and it's just like, it's coming out soon? Like, what? I mean, also you got to think about it. A Warner Brothers animated movie from the late 90s that was that wasn't marketed well, but turned out to be a great movie. Now, where have I heard that before? A certain movie about a giant who's iron, directed by one of the guys from The Simpsons. Again, we'll eventually get to that one eventually, but thankfully the movie is finding an audience through VHS, DVD. It's been on Cartoon Network several times. It has garnered a cult following over the years. Maybe not as strong as the Iron Man, but it still is definitely there. I am glad to see that the building up of the audience is really growing for this film, because it is an overall great, underrated animated movie with a lot of great animation, great music, a great voice cast. It's just a ton of fun all around. I really enjoyed this movie a whole lot, and it probably is one of the most underrated animated movies ever made. I mean, it really deserves a lot of more attention than I think it got when it came out, but I'm glad to see that it is building in the years since its release, so I'm happy to see it grow on that level. Cats Don't Dance, great film. So let's go ahead and move on to the last film that we have here, which is Love and Other Catastrophes.
Shit, sorry.
I've mixed him definitely.
All existence.
God, I hope not.
Well, I'll be off then. Gonna go slit my wrists.
So this is an Australian romantic comedy which features some notable names that you might be familiar with. Frances O'Connor, Radha Mitchell, Alice Gardner, Matthew Dickinski, Matt Day. The film is basically kind of a rom-com, with an ensemble rom-com with these different characters. And as far as the movie itself goes, I don't really know too much about it because I've never seen the film, and I don't really know too much about it. I don't know what kind of a legacy it has, honestly, but I wouldn't be surprised if it has it looks decent enough. I mean, it looks like it's working off of the actors alone, and a good concept that it has to it with the story and all that. But once again, I really don't know too much about it. I can't really say if it's any good or not because I haven't seen it, but it was the last movie on the list. I got to throw that in there. So that is Love and Other Catastrophes.